Habari Gani! Nia, which means purpose. To make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to our traditional greatness. Purpose. Nia is celebrated on December 30th, which also happens to be my birthday. Purpose is really special to me in my life as I think about centering the reasons that brought me to Earth and that have kept me on Earth with the work that I do on Earth. And that's the heart of purpose. And so again, as we think about our collective vocation or the work that we do as a community or a family, our goal should be to build and develop our community in ways that restore us to our traditional greatness. So what does that mean, our traditional greatness? Well, if we had a little bit more time, we could talk a little bit about African history and African American history and how our people are the archetype, the original design of civilization. That's a powerful thing. And so when we think about our great ancestry, we know that our people brought civilization to the world through the sciences, through the arts, through so many different things. And so part of Nia, or purpose, is about centering in on the way life is calling us, centering in on the unique gifts that we each hold and possess, and using those gifts to make our community brighter. And doing so unapologetically. And so we're going to light our Kanara, and we'll begin by lighting our unity candle, or our Umoja candle. Next, we light our candle for Kujichagulia, or self-determination, for Ujima, collective work and responsibility, for Ujama, come on Ujama, okay, cooperative economics, and for Nia, which means purpose.
Habari Gani, Nia, purpose. Today is all about connecting to our purpose and our why. Why do we do the things we do? As a Black person, when I think about purpose, I often think about Harriet Tubman and following the North Star, right? Her purpose was freedom and liberation, and she followed the North Star, and that was her guiding post. And so as I think about my North Star and the North Star of Black parents and the work that I'm doing with Parenting for Liberation, the North Star is really liberation. What am I doing it for? What are we parenting for? We're parenting for liberation, the liberation of Black children, Black families, and Black communities. And so today's activity is brought to us by Scheherazade Parrish, who is a coach, a writer, who will be inviting us into a reflective conversation about our purpose, around finding our why, and how do we be intentional with our purpose? How do we be intentional as we think about goal setting and intention setting, and being mindful of like, what is that deep, deep, deep why, way down, right? After we dig from the surface of like, oh, I want to do this thing, digging deeper, deeper, deeper into understanding what is our why, what is our purpose. I really hope that this conversation and practice is supportive of you in discovering your own why, for the sake of what. Enjoy, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Hey y'all, I am so happy that you are here today with us, with me. It's been a crazy year, and you could have been anywhere, and you chose to be here, and for that, I'm grateful. My name is Scheherazade Parrish. I am a poet and a writer and a teacher and all these things. But I'm here with you today as a self-care coach, a radical self-care coach. And what is that? Like, we hear self-care all the time, right? It is nothing to do with manicures or spa days or pedicures or any of that. My lane is radical self-care, and what that means for me is what is at the absolute root of what is bringing you to the point that you feel like you need to have, massages and spa days and pedicures and manicures, like whatever it is that is bringing you to the place that you feel like you need an escape. That's what I'm here to help you identify. Today is Nia, and that is the day of purpose. And so what we're going to focus on today is, like, what is your why? Not necessarily what's your purpose, but what is your reason? Like, what is the reason that you are wanting to? What is the reason that you're setting the goals that you're setting? Like, what's behind all of that? If you had an idea that we were going to go through goal setting, similar, but not quite. We're going to get to the root of it so that the goals that you do set, you'll actually be able to get to them, right? And we will make sure that our actions are in alignment with what we're trying to get to. And so, what I would like for you all to do in getting this work done is to make sure that you're comfortable. Go grab something that you love. Grab your favorite thing, whether it's a wrap, whether you want to put on a favorite red lip, whether you want to grab a tea or a juice. What you will need is a workbook, a notebook. It doesn't have to be dedicated, but it does have to be something that you're going to use, something that you're going to like take notes in, like such, like so. Get yourself a notebook, get yourself something to write with. Yeah. And I would like for you to consider these things. What is a goal that you had set for yourself for 2020? Like, I'm going to get this done. Think about that. Think about the goals that you set that you didn't necessarily meet. All right. I don't want you to think about why you did not meet those goals. I do want you to think about how you feel about not meeting those goals. I want you to write that down in your notebook. And in a couple minutes, we'll be back to talk about that and how we can use that to move us into a space where we can get what we want done and know exactly why we're doing it. Okay? All right. I'll see you in a couple minutes. We're back. We got our tea. Yes. We got our notebooks. We got our writing things, favorite writing things. We got our warm cozies, whatever it is that we need to feel comfortable. I'm glad you're back with those things. So I asked you to write a couple things down. I asked you to think about a couple things, right? About the goals that you had set, the goals that you hadn't met necessarily, and how you feel about those things. I'm willing to bet a moderate amount of any of y'all's money that it's not a good feeling. You didn't feel good about it when you're writing down the thing, even bringing up the subject or asking the question about like how you feel about the goals you didn't meet. Like that's not necessarily something that's going to spark our most positive feelings, right? And that's a good thing, because this is exactly what I want to talk to you about. Let's think about, I know that for myself and many of my friends, we don't always talk to and about ourselves in the best light. And it may be It may come across in this joking way. I know with me and my girls, we'll sit around and that'll be like, oh, I'm so stupid, or my dumb self, or, anything like that. Fill in the blank, right? I want you to be mindful. Write this down in your notebook. Watch your mouth. What do you mean by that? We tend to be very lax with the way that we speak to and about ourselves, right? We often will down ourselves and speak about ourselves in these unflattering like ways. We'll say like, such and such, my slow ass, or my dumb self, or, such and such and such. I apologize if there are children in the room. But yeah, we get into these spaces where we are, criticizing ourselves, but we don't really understand the impact that has on us. I want you to be mindful and be aware. You can write this down too. You are your first and most important audience, right? If you have the internal voice, we've heard about this, meaning if you can hear your thoughts, if you can read and hear the voices, without reading out loud, then you have this internal voice. And what this means is that before you speak a word out of your mouth, you think it and you hear it, like first before anyone else what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what you're about to say. You also know what you really mean when you say what you say. We have this ability to like craft words and code switch and say things that cover up exactly how we feel. You are your first and most important audience. And so that never escapes you. And I'm going to travel into this space. Some of us acknowledge God. We acknowledge this in, many different ways and names. So it could be the universe, or it could be creative source, or it could be the all being, the all knowing, the divine, whatever that is for you. If that is for you, I'm speaking about this in particular, this space. Much like children, especially the younger ones, especially the babies, the universe, this creative, does not have the ability to reverse process. What is reverse processing? Simply put, does not exist in this space. And if you have kids, like if you've taught kids, if you have kids, especially toddlers, and you tell them, don't run, what do? They run even faster and harder because they don't understand not. All they understand is do, run. And, let's even go back before contractions. All they're hearing is run. And so that's what they do. This creative space, this creative spirit, force, guide, source is much the same way. There is no room for the not. There is no room for the reverse process, because within this space, there exists no lack. This is the space of creation where all things are indeed possible, right? And so when you're thinking about yourself, when you are thinking about what you want to do, when you are setting your goals, it is not productive to say, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, I don't want to do the other. Because all that's happening, all that's being transmitted energetically is, I do want to do this, I do want to do that, and I do want to do the other. And the creative is obedient. It will answer you. It is here to serve you. You have millions of cells in your body that are all geared to serve you. It works in very much the same way. Setting intentions, setting goals. We have to be very mindful of how we are speaking to and about ourselves, because that is the energy that we are putting behind our goals. That's the intention. That is the energy behind that's going to push, that's going to fuel what it is we want to do, what it is we think we need to be, where it is we feel like we deserve to be. Like that energy is what fuels it. And you would much rather have energy that actually propels you than energy that stalls you or holds you back or puts you in a completely opposite direction. And so we have to be mindful. The first thing, the first exercise is to be able to reframe what I'm going to use, for lack of a better word, reframe our disappointments, right? And so one of the goals that I had for 2020 was to publish more creatively. I didn't do that at all, at all. And, you know, it feels awful, right? It feels this way, it feels that way. Um, there is a lot of defeat that goes in there. And rather than focus on that, I have to think about the things that I did do. Um, and no, I did not publish because I am lazy or because I lack discipline or because of this or that. I did not publish because I did not write. That's very objective. I did not write, and there are reasons behind that. However, the reasons behind that have nothing to do with my character, has nothing to do with the amount of sleep that I am unwilling to sacrifice, right? And we tend to say that because we're unwilling to sacrifice a certain amount of rest, that we're lazy. That's not it. I do not celebrate grind culture. I do not support the celebration of grind culture with my clients. I think that grind culture, as it were, really, you know, if you look grind up in the dictionary, you see it's like two opposing forces, and grinding something really breaks it down. And so I don't want to be that part of me that is responsible for the breakdown of me, by putting myself up against so many different activities and tasks, right? And so I asked you all to write these things down, and you have what you have in your books. Find a way to reframe these things in objective, judge free language. There are, as opposed to saying positive and negative, I'm going to invite you to use and consider your speech to be anabolic and catabolic. Catabolic breaks down, depletes, takes away from, right? We would commonly associate that with negative. Negative is judgy, though. It is judgment language. And so we try to eliminate that. Anabolic, on the other hand, is it feeds, it supports, it uplifts, right? And we associate that with positive. So when we get into the reframing of things, we want to look to and search out anabolic language, anabolic terms, objective terms, like things that it doesn't matter who's looking at it. It's not subjective. It is not up to the perception of whoever happens to be listening, whoever your audience is. It is objective, which means that it stands as is regardless. So I was not able to do this, or I did not do this because I did this. There is no judgment attached to that. There is, however, judgment attached to being lazy or being slow or lacking discipline. There is automatically a judgment placed on that. We know what it is. In this way, we can list the things that we are doing. We can support the things that we are doing, right? And from there, we can find out whether those are the things that we should be doing. I hate to use the word should. I do, right? Because when you think of, so I'm going to apologize for using it first. When we think of should, when you think of the things that you should do, what that does is places a huge focus on all of the things that you have not done, right? So if I say that I should be cooking dinner right now. That places a focus on all the things that I am not doing, which is cooking dinner, which means that I'm not feeding my family, which means whatever I decide to make it mean, we want to get away from that. And so let me reframe and say, when we think of the things that we have not done, that's fine. Let us think of them in the terms of things that I have not done, as opposed to things that I should have done. It feels very different in your body, even when you take time to say it. If you say it differently, these are the things I didn't do. It feels very different than, oh, I should have done this. I didn't do this. Like, if you try it, trust me. You don't have to trust me. You can try it. If you try it for yourself, you'll see what I mean. It feels very different in the body. So one of the things that we do is we reframe. We focus on what we've done. We don't focus on what has not been done or what should have been done. When I was in school for coach training, for energy leadership training, one of the main things that stuck with me, our instructor told us, stop shooting on yourself. You'll be a happier person. You'll be more fulfilled, and you won't carry this weight and this baggage. Should is a catabolic term. Should will bring you straight from whatever place of joy you were in. Shoulds will snatch you straight out of there. So let's try to avoid shoulds, which disguise themselves as supposed to or ought to, like those types of things. They are all in the same family, and we try to avoid that. In moving further into intention setting, which is, I feel, important to goal setting, right? We set goals. I want a new job. That's a goal. We set this goal. But we never question why. Like, why do you want this goal? So a second thing to do, once we have gotten to the watch your mouth of it all and the reframe this, right, is to get to, why do you want to do what you want to do? Question yourself. Why do you want to do that? If there's anyone to look to for guidance, it is your kids. If you have children or have had them and you have made it through the 2 to 5-year-old stage, what you know very well is that children are very, very keen at interrogating you. So don't do this. Why? Do this. Why? But why though? And it irritates us to no end. Like, how dare you question me, you child, right? Be honest. It is so useful. It is incredibly helpful. Yeah. So when we think about the goals that we set for ourselves and getting to the intention and getting to the why, what's underneath this goal, you ask yourself why, you interrogate and you question yourself until you get to this wall. And I call it the oh damn wall, because that's what happens. You question yourself so much that the answer brings you to a space where you say, oh, damn, wow. You know, it's a very sobering space. So I want a new job. But why though? Why? Because I want more money. Why? Because I work really hard. And I work hard and I feel like the work that I do deserves this much. Oh. But why? And then you get to a point where you say, because I'm worth it. And there you go. And from I am worth it, that is the intention. The intention may be that I do things that are reflective and indicative of my worth. Then that curbs everything else. Everything else becomes clear. And then you are able to say yes or say no. That is the intention. That's the real reason that we want a new job, right? Or it could be you are wasting your talents in this place. It could be that you would like to do things that you are interested in, because I want to spend 8 hours of my day doing things that I'm interested in. That could be an intention. And if that's the intention, then we work from there. So, thing one, watch your mouth. Be very mindful and considerate of yourself. You are your first and most important audience, and every cell in your being is listening and responding to what you're saying. Thing two, question yourself. Exhaustively question your reasons. We question other people. We must also question ourselves. One of the main reasons is because we're out here. We're out here in the world, and we are influenced by all sorts of things outside of us. We are influenced by media. We are influenced by our teachers. We are influenced by what we read, what we do, what we see. The culture, the predominant culture around us influences us to even think certain ways about ourselves. And so you have to do the work of questioning yourself, questioning why is it that you feel like this is what you want to do. That's not to say that what you want to do is wrong. There is no right or wrong here. Yeah. It's only about getting to the root of your issue, getting to the root of your discontent, so that you can frame your actions to serve what fills you, what fulfills you, what makes you happy, what brings you joy. All of these things come from you being very honest with yourself, and also holding yourself accountable to yourself. That all happens in the question, why? If you have not hit the wall of, oh, damn, you have not asked yourself extensively enough, why? That moves us into what I like to call the third step. Be ye a vessel. Be a vessel. We are. That's what we are. That's how I refer to people. Be a vessel. Vessels hold things, they carry things, they support, they pour into other things, right? A vessel can be a cup, a gallon bottle, a shot glass, like a vessel. Be a vessel. You are that. What do I mean? After we get through the questioning, after we get through all of the why, all of the why, all of the why, then you have your reason. Then you have your intention. You honestly have the framework and the foundation to build on the things that fill your vessel. We have heard, we have read, my cup runneth over. And we think that that indicates a level of excess. What we fail to understand is that we are, in fact, the cup. We are the cup, we are the vessel. And what we often do is share, we pour into, like we give, and we're not full. We don't even get to run over. Our cup, we never run over because we keep pouring and giving of ourselves, right? I want you to consider in this, like, be ye a vessel, as you are being this vessel, as you are the cup. I want you to remember that it's only the run over that is intended for other people. You're the cup that you are being filled. Like, we're filling ourselves first. We are being filled first. You cannot give from an empty cup. And an empty cup is anything other than a full cup. Think of it in that way. Because if you have this cup and it's half full and you're pouring it, yes, that's generous. It is. I'm not going to negate that. But also, it is, you're doing yourself and the vessel that you're pouring into, you're doing both of you a disservice, because you are giving not your best away. And you're depleting from yourself and giving someone else a small bit of it. In this, well, how do I do that? How? I don't know what you mean, Sherazad. If you have kids, if you are TT, like if you are around the kids, I encourage you to watch them. They are already doing this work. It frustrates us to see them in action because we are who's being interrogated, and we are the ones that the children are saying no to. Children have no problem saying no. We call children selfish, right? We call, oh, don't be stingy, don't be selfish. You should share. We put that on our kids when really, if we paid attention to them, we would see. The children have no problem in saying no when they no. Can I have some of your chips? No. Why? I only have a little bit. They are very, they are very honest with you about like what their capacity is. We should all pay attention. Every child is a classroom. Every child is a classroom. I insist and I live by this. I had the pleasure of like teaching children for 5 years, and it's amazing how much I learned from them. They are my best and greatest teachers. Children speak what's on their mind. They say it. They have no problem saying what's on their mind, how they feel. They don't have any fear of being abandoned, of being, any of that. It breaks my heart a bit to see children get shut down when they're their most honest. I have a friend who has a daughter, and he spent a lot of time like learning on the YouTube how to braid her hair and how to do these things, this single dad at work. And they will be on the Facebook Live sometimes and talking and doing whatever, and she lets him have it. Oh, she lets him have it in these amazing ways. And I bring this up to say this. He went on to say that he felt like 6-year-olds are more mature, right, than grown women. And like most grown women, I put my hand on my hip and rolled my head and was like, I don't know what you mean. And then he went on to say that, she has no problem saying, I am mad at you. Why? Because you didn't do this. Because you said you were going to give me some candy and you didn't get candy, but you sure did go to the store and you got your cigarettes. And that's not fair and I'm mad at you. Wow. She had no fear, no nothing. That was on her mind. That was not making her happy, and she had no problem being very clear about that. The older we get, we stop doing that. Like particularly women, we stop doing that. We stop saying what's on our minds. We become afraid to speak this truth. So be a vessel, okay? Be a vessel. Know what fills you. Be a 6-year-old. Be your 6-year-old self. Be a kid, right? And what I mean by that is say it. Speak your truth unapologetically and without explanation. If no is your answer, then you say no without explanation, without apology, right? We have a very difficult time as caregivers, as nurturers, as moms, like parents. We have this guilt attached to saying no. We have this guilt attached to being unavailable for someone else's like request. We have this guilt attached to that. And so oftentimes one of the things that we will do is put our goals and put our intentions and put the things that bring us joy and peace on the back burner while we're helping someone else. We are pouring from half full cups, and nobody is getting served fully. The people that we're helping in spite of ourselves, they get what they want, on some scale. But imagine how much more they could have gotten if you were only a full cup, which sometimes means that you say no. You have to protect yourself first and foremost. They say it on the airplanes, you fill your own cup, and the overflow is what is meant for other people. So, in honesty, the more you fill yourself, and as you are filling yourself to excess, it's so that you can share. It is so that you can be ye a vessel among the people. It is so that you can share out, and you can share freely, and you can share wholly, you can share with joy. And if these things are in fact bringing you joy, then you're in alignment with what your goals are, right? Finally, we don't celebrate ourselves enough. And the place where it shows up most is in fact when we are going over and doing this evaluation on what we wanted to do versus what we did do. We focus a lot on what we didn't do, and we don't give ourselves enough credit for what we have done, right? What we do. Let's celebrate every single thing that we do, because that is fuel to keep us going to reach that next point, to reach the next milestone. Some of the things that I do, there might be a question, right? As a mom, sometimes it's really hard for me to just do it myself. For me to have it for myself to wake up and look in the mirror every day and, speak life and uplift myself and list the things that I love about myself and list the things that I've done, which means this, and that, which means that there is resilience and there is this strength there because we've done this and we're all here. I think that first and foremost, right? Let's take a moment and celebrate ourselves because we are all here right now in the midst of the right worst years in the history of all of our lives. I'm willing to bet. I'll put my money on it. This is one of the worst years of our lives in America, right? As a people, there have been numerous things that could very well have taken us out of here. So many of us have had rugs snatched out from under us, like, oh, all at once. And yet we're here. And we're here in a place to be able to gather on a computer and, figure out how we're going to take all that we have done this year and apply it toward our goals in the future. So I want to say congratulations to everybody who is viewing this, everybody who can hear my voice. Like, I want to congratulate you and let you know how extraordinarily powerful and resilient you all are for even being here right now. We should do that. Like, there's the should. Let us do that more. Let us get into celebrating ourselves, right? More frequently. Let us schedule, put it in your calendar, one day a week where you sit down and you evaluate what you've done in celebration of what you've done. Now, some of you may be like, how do I do this with the kids? I started this saying, sometimes I can't do it by myself, right? Sometimes I need someone else. And luckily, I have this amazing teenager. I've got this kid that, we do these things together. We have these exercises together. And so one thing we've been doing, or we used to do, he's a teenager, so he doesn't want to do that with me anymore. But at night, when we would get ready for bed, when I would get him ready for bed, here's a takeaway. This is something that I want you to try to put in practice and let me know how it works, right? Let's set our intentions for the next day. It could be something as simple as, or for in my household, it was something as simple as, my kid would say, I want to have a good day at school tomorrow, and I want to enjoy my work assignments, and I want this teacher not to be so crabby. And I would, you know, you let him know, or let your kids know that it's, what do you want your tomorrow to look like? How do you want tomorrow to be from beginning to end? Let's imagine tomorrow. If everything was perfect, how would tomorrow be? And kids are great. They have these imaginations that allow them to say and see and speak like what they want. It's a huge game. It's like playing pretend. Play pretend with your kids. Be six with your kids and imagine. Remember what it was like when you were a little girl, or a little boy, when you were young, and you would imagine what your life was going to be, and you would play pretend, or play dolls, or dress up, or house, or any of those things. Do that. It's not too late. You're not too old. Do it. Be six and imagine with your kids at night. Set the intention for them to go to sleep with, so that their minds, their bodies are gearing up to make that happen in the next day. And you'll find that when you share these intentions with your kids, they become invested. They'll ask you hey, did you get your superpowers today? Or did you do whatever it was that you discussed the night before? They'll be interested in knowing. Ask them, hey, how did your day go? How did this go? Did this happen? Did that happen? And if they say no, challenge them to really talk about what happened, or why they think it didn't happen. Because they may have actually achieved the goal and it didn't look the way they thought it was going to look. But bring them to the attention of what they did do, right? The same for you. Think about at night, sometimes we say our prayers before bed. I don't know what your nighttime routine is. I encourage you to set an intention for the next day. Whether it's, I'm going to have breakfast in the morning. I'm going to wake up early enough to have breakfast and, feed myself and take care. It can be something small, very, very small. These are things that you can do with your children. There is an exercise in the day when you wake up with your kids, something to start your day with. It's called a rampage. And I got this from a really good friend of mine, Javon Clark. And it is where you are looking in the mirror, or you're with your kid or your partner, and you are literally speaking life into yourself or each other. So you start off with, I am strong, and I'm smart, and I'm this, and I'm that, and you are big upping yourself. Big up yourself in the morning. And who knows how long that's going to take. I say give yourself at least 3 minutes. Give yourself 3 minutes of anabolic praise and celebration. It might feel like you're being vain or conceited, but I promise you, that is the furthest thing from this. You are just fueling yourself for the day. We deal with a lot. We have already been dealing with a lot. And woof, today and now, what I like to call, I think today is, I don't know. I kept my count at March. So I stopped counting. The calendar has been stuck in March, since March. And so for me, it might be March 314, something like that today. On March 314, I woke up and I was beautiful to myself, and I was healthy, and I was responsible, and I'm taking care of my family, and I have been quite blessed, and I am able to help other families. And I've been like, helping families that didn't have the same things. We've been, there's so much. And, and on top of all of that, I have these opportunities to be before people who want to hear what I have to say, people who are on the same page as I am. And I am able to help families and people that I don't even know, that I have never seen in life. And that fills me with gratitude. And it's enough to push me into the next day, into the next hour. I encourage you all to do that. It's easy. You can do it in your home. You don't have to share it with anybody. But if you choose to share it with the world, I promise it's contagious. I promise you that. And so, as I wrap up with you all, again, in gratitude that you all chose to be here, I offer you um, myself. Reach out to me. You may have my information. You might have my contact information. If not, I'll make sure it gets to you for sure. Uh, Ask me questions, send me emails, send me your updates. I would love to be able to celebrate your progresses with you. I would love to be able to answer any questions that you may have. I would love to be able to work with you to find out ways that you and your children can create activities and create routines within your own households and lifestyles that make for a more joyous experience. I'm all about the joy. I'm all about the joy. And I am very much filled with being able to share this with you. I hope you have a wonderful year. I hope you end this year on the highest note possible. And I hope that you are celebrating yourselves, speaking highly of yourselves, speaking, uplifting yourselves, and speaking life into yourself and your children and your family. I hope that you are imagining big with the mind of a 6-year-old. I hope you are imagining the hugest, most joy-filled futures ever. And I hope to see you all again in the real world very soon. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you soon.